with Banger & Inc. In today's session, we're going to talk about how to streamline your payroll reporting with Sage Intacct Construction Payroll. There are many different options within the solution to run and retrieve data out of your system regarding payroll. Some of the options are directly in the payroll module here as we click into the software. One of the nice features you can do in the system is you can use this under the payroll menu, this reporting option, and this will allow you to extract raw data out of your system directly into Excel, whether it be check information, time card specific, or PTO specific information. This provides you with an outlet to range out what data you want to grab. So let's say, for example, we want to see time cards transactions for February. So we can start and end date range it. We can make it job specific. We can make it pay group specific, or maybe just want to see pending time to review it. We'll just take a look and see all the information, and we'll click export data. And this gives you the ability to download the information into an Excel output that you can open up and manipulate and use for whatever purposes you'd like to use in the system going forward. So this provides you with a simple, easy extraction in detail. And this is time entry, so I can have a specific spreadsheet imported out, or exported out, I should say, for timesheet information. And that's one of the first functions. You can also get information out directly from within the entry screens in the system. So for example, if I go into the time card entry screen or the check screen, I can go in and see information on the screen live and targeted based on what area I'm looking for. So let's say, for example, I'd like to see some information on checks for the weekly payroll, and I want to see it for pay period checks that were printed in, let's say, February, I think I got a February 16th here. Yep. So let's go February 16th. And let's just click View Checks. And I need to be in the right company, and I apologize for that. I'm going to go into my general construction company. And once I go into there, I'll be able to run the same filtering. So I'll go to hourly here. Start date, and we'll say February 16th, view. And now right on your screen, you have access to all of the checks that were in the system for that week, what their status was, and if you want to see individual detailed information on each employee, you can come right in and click on the name, and it will bring you into the check information view, which gives you a great view of everything that happened on that check record. And you can even see it by day, if you want as well. And all the calculations are there as far as taxes, deductions, any reimbursements, and you can see that all on your screen. So that would be another option. Main options is going to be through reporting in the system. And in the system, you're going to have the ability to do reports. And with payroll data, you can run reports via custom reports, interactive custom reports, which are ICRW reports, and you can also use financial reports. And for example, you could run a financial statement that is based on a P&L by employee. The way Intacct works, it's based on dimensions, and an employee isn't a dimension. So, for example, if I wanted to run a P&L by employee detail, or maybe a group of employees, maybe your service department versus construction, but you can see here's an example that under profit and loss detailed employee, and this is off of the general ledger information, I can click to run this, and I could pick my as of date. I could run a particular company or department. I'm just going to click OK. And why this is showing a lot of, this is sample data, but I can see here for my operating expenses, for my payroll related expenses, salary, I have each employee listed across the top. So I could actually see a total by employee, what they're costing payroll wise. And that's going to be all of the burdens and benefits added on as well. So for example, Lisa Campbell is $3,700 through April 10th. So you can do that in the financial statements as well as the ICRW reports and the custom reports. and we'll dive into those in a second. But if I click on the interactive custom reports, for example, you're going to see that the system comes with a bunch of pre-built payroll reports, and you can also build your own on the fly. So you can see here there's a bunch of different payroll reports, and we'll get into the details in a little bit on them as well. And then the same thing with what's called custom reports. There's payroll reports on that menu too. The final area to get out information in the construction payroll area is interfacing with the Atrix platform. So Sage Intacct Construction Payroll uses Atrix for all of the government reporting, e-filing, W-2s, along with certified reports can be run all through the Atrix system. So when you come into here, you can say, what company am I reporting for? Which federal form would I like to report on? So for example, if I'm doing the quarterly 941, I could select that. Or I could pick a state form. So if I was doing, I have to clear that out, hit the X. If I was doing Iowa, and I could select from the state forms for Iowa. So there is also the Iowa certified report, the withholding reports that are required as well. And what you can also see here is you can also generate, for example, the DOL WH347, which is the certified report from here, and so forth. Then you would select your information in the bottom, and you could generate those forms accordingly. So one of the things is you'll notice there's a lot of different avenues that you can get the information out, and there's a lot of different options of reports and things like that in the system. So how do you streamline all of that information to get it out quickly and to not be searching around all day for that information in the system? So there's some different areas in the software that you can take advantage of finding that information. The first being that just simply going into the actual payroll module in the system. So if I go into the payroll module, you'll notice under all, there's going to be a report menu where all of the payroll reports can be put on here on the menu, so you can just get them right from here. And you'll also notice that I can get to the Atrix and that Excel reporting right from here as well. What you also notice is you have the ability to favorite reports. So what you can do is, once you find the reports in payroll that you would like to use maybe on a regular basis, you can hit the star next to the report name, and that will then show up over in your favorites. Your favorite menu is over in the top left, the star. You can click on it. You can see your favorites for all the areas in the system. You can also just switch it to just payroll, and you'll notice now I can get just the 4 reports for payroll that I always use right here on my favorites menu. I know exactly where to go to get to them, and you can click it from there. So that's probably the most common use for selecting which reports you'd like to run on a day-to-day basis. In addition to that, you can also run the reports directly from the reports application in the software. And underneath reports, you could go directly into the area that the report was built. So for example, if I want to go into the interactive custom reports, I can click on that there, and this is going to show you the reports for all the area in the system. You could sort by name. Any one of these filter fields, you can start typing in the beginning of the application and click enter, and it will filter out those reports. You can also put a % sign in front of the filter, and for example, if I say percent, let's actually go over here and say % payroll, it will find wherever payroll is in the word for you as well. So you can see here you can quickly get to your payroll reporting from using these filters in the system. In addition to that, you'll see 2 more fields here called report audience and report type. So what you can do is, and I'm going to, let's go and refresh this and get that out of there. And what you'll see is, what you can also do is you can further code these reports to a particular audience or a particular type within that audience. So for example, you'll see here, I have 2 payroll reports. that I coded as a payroll audience, and the report type. Is it a register? Is it a year end? Is it a monthly recap? Is it weekly? And you could filter on that information. And so what you can do here is if I go into something called advanced settings on the report row, I can click it, and you'll notice right here when you're setting up the report, you can tell it what the report audience is and what the report type is. And these are all customizable by the users if you have security to do so. So I can click add here, I can make more types here as well and click add, and then I can use them to filter out and report, to code out the reports that I want to see. In addition to that, you can also establish more detailed security on these reports. So what you can do that also is set up different user groups in the system, assign the users to those groups, and then assign the report to the group. So this can be a payroll report group, and it's only going to give people access to this report who have the role that is secured for this group. So you can even get further detail with security on here. I'm not going to do that at this time. So you can do that directly in the ICRW reporting function, and it works exactly the same in the custom reports area. You'll also see here that there's a report audience and a report type as well. Ultimately, what most people try and get to is inside reports, there's something in here called Report Center. And what that does is that brings all the reports together in one place for you. So you don't have to know if it's a ICRW report, if it's a financial statement, etc. You could have it, you can come into here all together. And what's really nice is in the Report Center, if you're looking for a particular report in a particular module, you can come down to here and select the module. And in this case, payroll. So if I select payroll, now this shows me every payroll report in the system. And now I can go and click on them to run them from there. So for example, if I want to run a check recap by employee, I can click on it. And then I can filter out the information. You can type it in, or you can use your calendar for it as well. And then you can get more detailed as far as what you want to see. You can do a graph. If I click view here, this will return the values for the individuals check status wise. There's some voided checks in here. So you can do that from within here. And then in addition to the favorites that we saw earlier, there's also a favorites within the Report Center. So now, again, I can hit the star next to these names. So here's the reports that I use most of the time. Then what you can do is instead of seeing the All Reports tab, you can look at what's called the Favorites tab. And that will only show you reports in the Report Center that you favorited. So for example, you can tell that these are ICRW reports. These are what's called custom reports. They can all be in the same menu. This is the Atrix menu link to the payroll module, so you can get to it all from within here. And what's nice is if you go back up to reports, Report Center, you can get right into your favorites right from this menu right here. So typically you're going to come into here, you're going to select your reports from your favorites menu in your Report Center, and it makes it very easy to click on these as well. Let's take a look at this report. This is one of the newest reports released by Sage. It's a payroll check activity by employee report. And in this report, you can get this can be based on just 1 week. You can get a recap for the quarter. So let's say, for example, let's see payroll to date through 3/31. I can select one particular employee if I'm just looking for a report on that employee. In this scenario, I'm just going to hit view. And in this case, it's going to show me a recap once it processes for each employee that received a check from January through March. And it'll give me a record of all of their checks and then some different totals on top here. Total earnings, employee taxes, net pay, employer taxes, employer fringes. So this is going to be at a summary level. and it's going to give you grand totals down. And these reports are all customizable, so you can move columns around, you can rename them, you can do all of that. One of the other things you can do is from the report center, or from any report for that matter, you can what's called memorize and schedule out the reports. So if you want to run this payroll activity report, you can come into here and you could memorize it, and you're going to give it a name. We'll call it payroll check activity, and we're just going to make it a public memorization. And now that report is memorized, and one of the things you'll see here is now you can schedule it. So now you can click schedule, and you can filter it by a particular group. But in this case, we want to start it on today, and we want to send it out, don't say never, oops, sorry, never. And we want to email it, or we want to store it in Intacct, or let's just say email it. Who does it get? Who does it go to? What's the subject? And do you want a printable one? Do you want HTML? And, you know, you can just call it payroll activity. Could spell, and you can actually schedule that, and it will actually send out that memorized report on a particular schedule for you. So some of the users don't even have to come into here to get their reports. You can schedule those out for them. And that's just not with payroll, that's with anything in the system. Ultimately, the other area you can streamline your reports is in with dashboards. And dashboards can be very useful to see the information that you want to see, or have links to where you need to go. So for example, I've created a dashboard here called Payroll Workflow. Some of the uses that I have here for somebody who's doing payroll workflow is they might want to see some cash balance information, you know, maybe time entry, how many employees don't have time entered in so far to date. So you can have any of those widgets set up for that. You'll notice here if they're using a remote payroll solution like HH2, something like that, they can get a link to their remote time entry solution from here. You could build workflows, so if you get a temp coming in or somebody who's doing payroll for somebody else while they're on vacation, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. You can make these workflows. But one of the big things you can do here is you can also set up shortcuts to the reports that you use and name them however you want. So you can see here for payroll reports, we have a couple different reports that we set up and use in the system, and we can link them here. What we can also do is something like this. Let's say we want to do a specific section just for reports that I want to print out on a weekly basis. I have a weekly payroll, and every time I do the payroll, these are the 4 reports, 5 reports that I want to create. I want to run every week. So basically what you can do is set up something in here under the general component type, and then under components you have this what's called custom navigation. And this one you can name it whatever you want, and we'll just call it weekly payroll reports to run. And you can build the height here. We'll leave it at this for now. And you can just come into here and build your links in any order you want and write in whatever you want. So let's say the first report is I want to be able to, this is my weekly tax payment. We'll just call it that. And then you need to search for the reports. So you definitely need to know where the reports are ahead of time. And I know that payroll's down near the bottom, so you could pre-fill in here too, but I'm just going to go up to payroll, and here's all my payroll reports. So I'm going to come into here and say, here's the weekly federal and state payroll tax report, and that's the report that I want it to point to. So I can click on it. And then let's say, all right, I want that check activity too. That report we looked at earlier, I'm just going to call it check activity though. So now I can do the same thing, go find my payroll reports, and that was check activity by employee. And then maybe I want to see a labor distribution report or project distribution. I want to see what jobs got coded. And there is a report in there for that, and that comes with the system as well. That's a Sage Intacct payroll report that came with the system. And I'm going to go up to here and find it, and it's right there, payroll labor distribution. And then maybe I want to see all my deducts and fringes recapped for each employee for the week. So I'm going to call this check pay modifiers register, something like that. And if I go up the menu again, I'll go find it on the menu, and it's this one here, check pay modifier details, I believe. Maybe not. Let me see. Yep. Yep, I believe that's it. Okay. So then I can click save, and now I built my own little section on a dashboard of the reports that I like to run. So if I want to put this, maybe that's fine. I like it right here under weekly payroll reports to run. I can come into here now at any time and just click on this, and it will pop up the area that I need to report on. And all I need to do here is put in my parameters. So let's say this is for the payroll that was done on February 16th, check date. And this report simply gives me what I owe for federal taxes, and also gives me the state information as well. And this is just a simple report that's built, but this shows me I only have one employee, but obviously if you had more employees for that week, you'd have a bigger report here. But this shows me here's what I owe for FICA, here's what I owe for Medicare, and then federal employment and state unemployment. So then I could export that to Excel if I wanted to, or I could print it out. And vice versa. We looked at the check activity report. This labor project distribution is a nice recap here. So if I want to show all the projects that were posted to this week, you can do it for the whole quarter. You can do it for 1 week. Let's do this. Let's run it for February and not just the 1 day, because then we'll get more data here. And let's run it for February. You could select one individual project if you're just looking for a recap for one job. Or I can just click view, and it's going to show me everything that hit those projects for that time frame. And now this is a summary one. This is summarizing it up in total. You can get a more detailed one if you wanted to in the system. This one happens to be a summary one by project, by cost code, how many hours, and this is just based on the earnings. You can also get one with the burden on there as well. But this is just an hours recap by job, by project, and there you go. So it's very easy to streamline exactly the areas that you want to report on and put them in a fashion that you can get to them quickly and efficiently, on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a quarterly basis, and get what you need out of the system. And that's all going to be using the existing payroll reports that already come with the Sage Intacct Construction Payroll, and any reports that you tweak or modify on your own to get you out the information that you need. So if there's any questions or comments, please put them below. And thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.